When we talk about natural resources, often referred to as land in economics, we mean timber, oil, minerals, and other goods taken more or less as they are from the earth. Traditionally, land, labour and capital are considered the three factors that determine a nation's ability to produce for domestic consumption or international trade. But these factors are not distributed uniformly across the globe, and those with access to natural resources tend to use them extensively in production, often devastating local economies.
If you've got a booming resource sector bringing in a lot of foreign exchange, that's going to drive up your exchange rate and make it very, very difficult for any other export activities, industrial activities, to become established.
Industrialisation and increased economic integration have also blighted the global environment.
The fire following a meltdown of nuclear fuel at a power station in the Soviet Union is still burning intensely. The station is spewing a radioactive cloud over Europe.
Debate rages on how best to manage our remaining resources into the future. In this film, we examine how the distribution and exploitation of resources has influenced the global political economy in the past, and look at some alternative views of the future. Access to natural resources has played a central role in many economic, political and military developments throughout history. Effective use of natural resources can stimulate economic growth, which often translates into political power or military might. So it's not surprising that some valuable resources are considered strategically important, or that political and military power have been used to gain access to them. The Indonesian army has been paid to protect Freeport, the world's biggest gold and copper mine, and Indonesia's largest single taxpayer, from the impoverished West Papuans who see these resources as their birthright.
My feeling is that Freeport came in and destroyed the environment, destroyed nature and destroyed the places where we live. They pay the Indonesian military, and the Indonesian military come and kill us all. They make us suffer.
European nations industrialised first and gained military advantages over others, largely due to the development of their coal and iron industries. Predominantly northern colonisers extracted valuable resources from their colonies in Africa, South America and Asia. They used them to bolster both economic growth at home and their political and military power over their colonies. In many cases, they dismantled environmentally sustainable traditional practices in order to do so. These tensions are still playing out today. The indigenous Uwa people of Colombia gained visibility by waging a battle against international oil companies who seek to drill on their land. They survive off the jungle, but there are only 5,000 Uwa left in their homeland.
The future looks very difficult. Our gods did not leave us here for this. This was not our destiny. We are here because our mission is to protect the plants, the animals and the human being. The white man is destroying everything, and that is why the sun is getting hotter and hotter. I do not understand how the white man has managed to destroy so much of the land.
In Asia, environmental exploitation was evident in the 1930s. The Japanese military government launched a campaign to secure raw materials throughout vast territories in Asia, ranging from China to Vietnam and the Philippines. Many scholars argue that the environmental consequences of colonialism continue to scar the political and economic landscape of Africa in particular. More recently, some foreign policies also seem to have been motivated by efforts to secure access to resources.
From the U.S. perspective, energy security is one of the most important issues the world faces today. Our African trading partners are critical in this respect.
Many believe that for the past 50 years, US involvement in the Middle East, in particular its close relationship with Saudi Arabia, is largely dictated by US dependence on oil imports and concern about global economic stability should another severe oil crisis emerge. Which is also why the US supports the former Soviet Republic of Georgia's military. It's trying to flush out Chechen militants, threatening the pipeline which links Caspian Sea oil fields to world markets.
Together with American help, we have probably the best quality of training and equipment, which we desperately need. And also financial resources will be available.
Americans are the greatest consumers of oil in the world, so their interest towards energy in the Caspian is absolutely natural. So the Russian interest also mostly based on oil.
The most extreme intervention in pursuit of resources is clearly direct invasion. In 1990, Iraq's former leader, Saddam Hussein, invaded oil-rich Kuwait and captured its oil fields. This invasion was rebuffed by a UN-sponsored military campaign. But in 2003, Kuwait played host to US forces who entered Iraq to disarm and oust Saddam. Many observers suspected that concerns over the security of Middle Eastern oil factored in this decision to go to war. Private actors have also gone to extremes in their efforts to secure access to resources. Examples include reported efforts by Western oil companies to overthrow the nationalistic Mossadegh government in Iran in 1953, or the United Fruit Company's attempt to overthrow the reformist government in Guatemala in 1954, or ITT's International Telegraph and Telephone's efforts to overthrow the Allende government in Chile in 1973 to prevent its property being nationalized. More recently, mercenaries have been used to secure access to resources, such as during the Angolan War, after UNITA rebels captured key multinational offshore oil platforms. The oil companies mounted a covert operation to recapture them, using mercenaries from a South African firm.
We went in 1993 to secure the oil field so that they could recover the equipment. Yeah. That's the oil company. It just Texaco, Fina, Gulf, Sonangol, everyone. They've been able to now continue with oil production, and all the international oil companies have now started investing very heavily into that area.
The importance of iron and coal to the Industrial Revolution provides the most obvious proof that resources influence economic growth. But this link is not always as straightforward as we assume. The impressive skylines of many Middle Eastern cities show the potential prosperity for those who control key resources. The countries which form the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, have enjoyed almost unimaginable increases in wealth since it was formed in the 1960s to wrestle control of oil production from foreign multinationals. And these countries have been able to demand greater political voice internationally because they control a natural resource